You did everything right. You worked hard, stayed disciplined, checked all the boxes you were supposed to check, and somehow it still feels like something is missing. Not in a dramatic life is falling apart kind of way, but in a quiet, persistent kind of emptiness that you can't quite explain. And honestly, that feeling is more common than you think. Because here's the thing no one really talks about. You can build a life that looks good on the outside and still feel completely disconnected on the inside. You might have a stable job. Maybe your finances are okay. Your relationships seem fine. You're not in crisis. But there's this low-level numbness that follows you around, like you're just going through the motions, like you're living your life, but not really feeling it. And it's confusing, right? Because you start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? You feel guilty for feeling this way. You tell yourself you should be grateful. Other people have it worse, so why can't you just enjoy what you have? But that question, what's wrong with me, might be the wrong question entirely. A better question might be, what's missing beneath the surface? Because this kind of emptiness usually isn't about what you have, it's about what you don't feel. A lot of people in this position are what psychologists call high functioning. You've learned how to perform well in life, you know how to meet expectations, you know how to stay productive, responsible, and composed, and that's gotten you pretty far. But somewhere along the way, you may have learned to disconnect from your own emotional needs. Maybe you grew up in an environment where feelings weren't really talked about, or maybe you were praised more for achievement than for being yourself. So you adapted. You became the reliable one, the capable one, the one who doesn't make things difficult for others. And that worked. It still works. But there's a hidden cost to being that version of yourself all the time, because when you spend years focusing on what you should do, you slowly lose touch with what you actually feel, and that's where the emptiness starts to creep in. It's not that your life is bad, it's that your inner world feels quiet, maybe even silent. You wake up, you go through your routine, you check things off your list, but there's no real sense of meaning attached to it, no emotional connection, no spark. It's like eating food that fills you up but has no taste, and over time that lack of emotional depth starts to feel heavy. Another reason this happens is something called arrival fallacy. It's the belief that once you reach a certain goal, you'll finally feel complete, happy, fulfilled. So you chase the next milestone, the next promotion, the next level of success. And for a moment it feels good. There's a rush, a sense of achievement, but it fades quickly, and then you're left thinking, that's it? So you set another goal, and another, and another, without realizing that you're stuck in a loop where you're always chasing a feeling that never really stays. Because fulfillment doesn't come from arrival, it comes from alignment. From feeling like your life actually reflects who you are, not just what you've been told to become. And that's the part most people skip. They build their lives based on expectations, society's expectations, family expectations, even their past self's expectations. But they rarely stop and ask, is this actually me? So even when things are going well, there's a subtle sense of disconnection, like you're playing a role instead of living your own life, and that's exhausting. There's also the emotional side of this that often gets ignored. Sometimes emptiness is your mind's way of protecting you. When you've experienced stress, disappointment, or emotional pain over time, your brain can start to numb things out. Not just the bad feelings, but the good ones too. It's like turning down the volume on your emotions so you don't get overwhelmed. But when you lower the volume, you don't get to pick and choose what you feel. You just feel less. Less joy, less excitement, less connection. And eventually that less starts to feel like nothing. Now here's where it gets even more important. A lot of people try to fix this feeling by adding more to their lives, more goals, more productivity, more distractions. They think, maybe I just need to stay busier. But that usually makes the emptiness worse. Because the problem isn't that your life lacks activity, it's that it might lack meaning. And meaning doesn't come from doing more, it comes from feeling more connected to yourself, to others, and to what you're doing. Which brings us to something simple but powerful. If you feel empty even when life is going well, it might be a sign that you've outgrown the version of yourself you've been living as. And that's not a failure, that's actually a turning point. Because it means you're becoming aware that something deeper matters, aware that just doing well isn't the same as actually feeling alive. And yeah, that realization can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like everything you've built is suddenly being questioned. But it's also an opportunity, an opportunity to reconnect with parts of yourself that you've ignored for a long time, to start asking different questions. Not what should I do next, but what actually matters to me. Not what looks good on paper, but what feels real to me. And those questions don't always have immediate answers. And honestly, that's okay. Because this isn't about rushing to fix the feeling. It's about understanding it. It's about giving yourself permission to slow down and listen to what's been quietly missing. Maybe it's creativity. Maybe it's deeper relationships. Maybe it's a sense of purpose that isn't tied to productivity. Or maybe it's just the ability to feel again, without constantly trying to control or suppress it. And if you're in this place right now, where everything seems fine but something inside feels off, you're not broken, you're not ungrateful, you're not doing life wrong. You're just at a point where your inner world is asking for more than what your outer world is providing. And that's a very human place to be. So instead of judging that emptiness, try getting curious about it. Because sometimes that quiet feeling isn't a void, it's a signal that there's more to you, and more for you, than the life you've been settling into. And maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something deeper. If this hit home, drop A in the comments. It really helps me understand what resonates with you. And if you want more videos like this, ones that actually make you think and feel a little differently, make sure you like and subscribe. You're not alone in this, and there's a lot more to explore.